All right. Good morning, everyone. Hey, welcome to this kind of rather rainy day, but nonetheless, you're here joining us for this month's Startup Resources series. And as always, if you're a series subscriber, we welcome you back. And if you're new to this series, we also welcome you and glad you're here for the information we're going to share today. I'm Lisa Bajornis, Executive Director of the Kentucky Innovation Hubs with KSTC. And of course, we present this each month in partnership with our friends over at the Cabinet for Economic Development within KY Innovation. I am really excited about a very different and new topic to share with all of you today. But just a quick rundown of our agenda. We've got a great topic, as mentioned today, with an excellent presenter. And then after our conversation, where you are welcome to put any questions in the chat, I'll monitor that for you all. Then we've got a hub highlight that'll be coming from our Innovation Hub Awesome Inc. And of course, we'll close it out with an event rundown of the pretty cool upcoming events that are pretty much going to round us out for this year. So that's what we've got on tap for today. I will continue here. As you know, we do capture the recordings and videos for each of these monthly webinars. You can find those over on the KSTC site. Just click on the initiatives menu. You'll see Kentucky Innovation Hubs, and all of our past Startup Series webinars by month are located there. You'll see the topics. Feel free to view any of those recordings. And you've got that entire library of that past information that we have shared with you all. And as you know, we also post the various presentations for you in our Slack, as well as our follow-up email to all of our attendees. So again, thank you so much for joining us. David Brock, who is Executive Director of KY Innovation with the Cabinet, can't be with us today. But in his place, I do have a couple of announcements that he asked me to share with you. He is unfortunately waylaid in their executive team meeting, but he did want me to share the following with you. We had previously announced the small business tax credit applications were due by November 1st in order to be considered for the 2025 tax year. So that deadline has passed. And that will guarantee processing of those applications for the Small Business Tax Credit Program for those of your startup clients that submitted that by November 1st. You are welcome to have your startup clients go ahead and submit applications for consideration anytime for 2026. And then also he wanted me to let you know that they are close to announcing the SBIR, STTR matching funds awards for the fall round. That's the Small Business Innovation Research and the Small Business Technology Transfer Research matching funds awarded by the state for the fall round. Again, it was another really excellent and competitive round, and we certainly encourage any startup clients that you have to apply for the federal SBIR or STTR programs. And then that if you are awarded a federal grant, you are then eligible for a state matching grant. You can find more information about SBIR, STTR at kyinnovation.com. So that is all of the announcements that I have from the cabinet for you. And now we're going to turn our attention over to today's speaker. And as I mentioned, we have a very new and interesting topic to share with you. And I am really excited to hear from Landon Young. And as Tori is going to go ahead, and I'll stop my share so Landon can join us and pull up any slides. We're going to talk today about a topic that maybe not all of you as entrepreneurial support organizations or even founders that have joined us about purpose-driven entrepreneurship. And, you know, as we know, and as we work with our clients, founders really dream of changing the world, right? They're tackling huge problems in very innovative ways with a lot of technology solutions. And part of that, and it's just very timely, being that it's November, somewhat the season of giving, as I like to think about it. We are really fortunate to have Landon Young with us, who is co-founder of Donate Equity and also vice president with Elevate Ventures. And so the consideration for a startup that has realized success and the opportunity to then, quote, pay it forward or to give back in a way that can allow for, you know, impact in any community. So we're going to talk today about purpose and profit and the measurable impact that a startup founder or co-founders can make. And then Landon's also going to share some real world examples of Kentucky startups who have embedded philanthropy, if you will, in somewhat of their mission and purpose in giving back to the community. So Landon, I am so excited to have you join us today and talk a little bit about how founders can turn their success into philanthropic impact in their community. So welcome.
Thank you very much, Lisa. Thanks for having me, and excited to speak with you all. Love the Innovation Hub network. We've had a chance to work with a couple of the hubs, and so just thrilled to be here today. This is an exciting topic. It's not as new as we would think, but it's come into vogue recently. I don't know if Dave Knox is on the call or not, but he's been working in this area for years. There have been people championing this work for a long time, and we're starting to see that work really pay off. And so a little bit of background on myself, as Lisa mentioned. By day, I am leading early stage pre-seed and seed investing at Elevate Ventures. I am a founder and entrepreneur. I founded Lead Sigma, a software as a service business. Before that, World Help Solutions, which was acquired and I donated stock from. And then before that, I had a small construction business. So from small business, Main Street business to high tech, there are opportunities to turn those successes in your community into funding on the nonprofit side. And so that's what we're going to go through. Feel free to ask questions. I think Lisa might be fielding those questions, and we'll bring them up. So let's hop in. So I'm not telling you anything you don't already know, but we are in a funding crisis in many parts of the country. Cash donations are down overall, and part of that is economics, but part of it is mentality. We have polling showing that Gen Z wants to give time and talent and voice, but they're not as willing to give cash up front. We have federal grants going away, et cetera. Again, this is not new information for you, but what might be is that the biggest opportunity for new funding is already there, and it's already in your network, and you're probably not capitalizing on it yet, and that is business equity donations. So actually donating part of a business to charity before the sale of a business. So what is that? How does it work? I'll give an overview of one of the benefits to a donor and the benefits to the charity. So what I mean by business donations are private business owners donating this closely held stock in a company, in an LLC or a C Corp, giving that to a charity, the charity taking ownership of that equity. They become a shareholder in the business. The donor, when they do that, they have an appraisal of that, just like you would appraise your home, or if you've done a 409A valuation of a company before, there will be an appraisal of the business. And the donor gets an immediate tax write-off when they give, even if they don't sell their company for years. So for a donor, immediate tax benefits. This is especially helpful if they're drawing income from the business and need to offset that income. So the amount of donation or deduction that they can receive is the full fair value of that company or fair market value. And if they can't use all of that in a single year, they can roll it over year after year for up to 5 years. So from a donor perspective, the savings can be significant. There's also a capital gains avoidance. So if, let's say, a startup started with $0 in the tank and has grown to be worth tens of millions or hundreds of millions of dollars, that appreciation in the value of the company results in some pretty high capital gains. And so a donor can also offset those capital gains for the portion that they donate. The donor maybe has an affinity for Sprocket, for example, or Create, or one of the regional hubs. Maybe they love the work you're doing, but they just don't have the cash that they can contribute right now. This is an alternative for them. So they're preserving their cash, maybe even adding to their cash by way of tax write-offs, and helping you as well in the process. The donor gets to keep control of the company. Usually these are non-voting shares, and your responsibility as a shareholder is next to nothing as far as the business goes. You're not playing a heavy hand in controlling the business. They retain that control. The average gift size for nonprofits who receive business equity donations is about $250,000. And that's across the country. Some of our partners see that go as high as $3 to $7 million on average. But I think from our own experience, it tends to be $250K up to $1.5 million here in the Midwest that we've seen. You'll recognize some familiar faces. I've tried to include some of you in the presentation. Larry's a friend of mine, and so had to throw him in as well.
And it's no doubt that he's posted in the chat that Landon is awesome.
Well, I haven't even read the chat yet, so thanks, Larry. Larry is like most executive directors, most leaders in your nonprofits. They know business owners, and Larry maybe even disproportionately so, right? Instead of 10 to 20 on average, he probably knows hundreds and maybe 1,000, right, business owners. Over half of all business owners are charitable and give every year. Of those, a very small fraction even knows that giving equity in a business is possible. And research shows that. So right now, if Larry wants to turn the dial and really ratchet up his fundraising, like most of you, there aren't many options to do that. It's raising additional grant dollars or asking people for more cash. This is a new option. This is another tool in your tool belt. So how does it work? Well, you'll see Dave Knox here on the left. I threw him in here as well. Let's say you're having a conversation with a business owner in your community or an entrepreneur that you've supported over the years. You're sharing that this is an option for them. So they probably aren't aware. So step number one is we as Donate Equity, we provide one-pagers and marketing slicks and information that you can share, calculations of how they might benefit, et cetera. So you're just spreading the word that that's an option and planting that seed. And that seed might come back to grow a year from now or a month from now or 5 years from now. But you're planting that seed. When someone raises their hand and says, I'm actually ready to give, I think I'm ready to donate, there's an appraisal that happens. And that appraisal is similar to like a 409A, but a little more rigorous and involves a person with the right credentials to conduct the appraisal. We have partnerships with Carta, which is a cap table management software. We have partnerships with other cap table management softwares where we have the ability to get appraisals up to 50 or even 75% off anyone who works with donated equity. So when the donor says, yeah, I'm ready, they get this appraisal. Hopefully it's not expensive and it doesn't take as much time as normal when they go through donated equity. They sign a simple agreement. Many times it can be even an asset transfer agreement. So something very simple. We've had people give real estate or other assets that their business had in lieu of stocks. So, but they'll sign a simple set of agreements, transfer the asset or the security to your nonprofit. If you're not comfortable holding it, and many nonprofits aren't, then we'll help you connect with someone who can set up a donor advised fund for you. So, over near Cincinnati, that might be Horizon. That could be the Community Foundation of Louisville, right, et cetera. So you'll work with someone to set up a donor advised fund, which is a charitable bank account, and they'll hold that asset for you until it turns into cash, and after which you'll get the payment. So when a liquidity event happens, that's it could be a startup gets a certain funding around that provides liquidity, or they sell their shares in a secondary way, or they have an IPO or an M&A transaction. Those shares can become liquid cash. And that's when you're able to get those funds and put them toward your purposes in your community. Let's look at an example. So here's a hypothetical. We actually did help someone named David. This is not that David, but this is someone else. So hypothetical David gave 5% of his company, and that ended up getting appraised for $1 million. David was able to secure a 50% income tax deduction because he gave directly to the 501c3. And he was able to use that for up to 5 years. David was also able to reduce capital gains on the gift. The charity received that gift. It ended up actually appreciating beyond the $1 million. It became liquid. They were able to use it day to day in their operations. This is transformative for small nonprofits. This can be transformative for larger nonprofits as well. But it can be kind of make or break in a given year, is what we've seen. Here's an example. Let's say it's, we're sitting here in November. There's a company that you've been working with, and you're providing ESO support, and you share the benefits of giving. They express interest, and they ended up giving a percentage of their business. They're deciding they're not only going to pledge, but they're going to actually give 1% of their company, for example. We roll into next year, maybe expectedly or unexpectedly, a funding event occurs, liquidity happens, those shares turn into cash, and you're able to put it to good use. In this case with Create, right? But not only tech companies qualify for this. This can also be a small business on Main Street. So imagine the local HVAC company. These are getting rolled up by private equity every day. I would say actually a majority of our gifts that have happened have been more traditional businesses or kind of like tech-enabled businesses. It can be manufacturing, insurance, services businesses, et cetera. They're planning M&A. They've had private equity interest over the years, and they've decided, you know what, I'm actually going to give. And I'm planning to sell my business next year. So again, you're providing ESO support to them. You share the benefits of giving. They donate. The M&A event happens. Private equity buys the firm. That becomes cash. There are considerations, things to be aware of, things to keep track of, timelines, budgets, et cetera. So I want to make sure that that is crystal clear. Here are a few of those. Timeline. Typically, this can take 3 to 8 weeks. We've done these in as little as 3 days. So it can go quickly on a simple transaction, but I would account for 3 to to 8 weeks, at least a couple of months of time, conservatively. The appraisal cost for appraising the business is covered by the donor, and that can be anywhere from $1,000 to $10,000. It can be more for a really complicated large company, but it can be on the low end, especially for startups that have very simple cap tables. The giving window is 3 to 5 years before a sale. It can be as little as a few months ahead of a sale, but know that no price can have been agreed upon. So there's been no agreed upon price. Even if there's an LOI with a range of price for a business, private equity says we'll buy it for, between 10 and 20 million and 17 to 18 million. If there's a range, that's okay. But if a price has been agreed upon, it's too late for this sort of gift, and it'll need to be a cash gift instead. An appraisal must happen within 60 days of a gift date or before filing taxes. So that appraisal will be turned in with the donor's taxes to the IRS. And so it must get appraisal. The donor needs to cover that cost. In the Donate Equity platform, we make that simple, straightforward. They have options they can choose from. They can invite their own. We make it as simple and as inexpensive as possible. So again, a little bit of background, like how did I uncover this? I was selling a company and I ran a nonprofit as well in Indiana. I knew that you could give boats and cars and other interesting things. So I thought, surely part of my valuable company could be given. And as a PhD nerd, I dug through IRS white papers and I found out, yeah, you can do it. And I worked with my financial team to figure it out. I thought, this is too complicated. This is taking too much time. This is too expensive. We have to make this easier and better. And so for the last 10 years, I've been consulting, guiding people through this process, from individual donors to multi-billion-dollar foundations, helping them work through these transactions. And my goal is to help the next 10,000 or 100,000 nonprofits accept gifts like these. I live in a town of 17,000 people in southern Indiana. I would love for my small community foundation to be able to benefit from this. To date, they don't know how to do this work, right? And so that's why we've built software, and we're moving from just consultation to workflow automation so that anyone can process this sort of gift. We want to be the default platform that people use when they think of private business donations. Currently, there's no other software that does this, and you're left with expensive consultants. What we've done is built in software automation so that your team, your preferred CPA, that attorney that sits on your board, you're able to figure this out. You don't have to contract out someone from the outside or rely on expensive resources. From templates, guides, to email automation, it's like TurboTax for private equity donations. So we guide you through step by step of how this works. The donor will be invited, your team will be invited onto the platform, and you'll just complete the step that you have next, and it goes on to the next person. Your CPA or your attorney will complete their steps. An appraiser will put a value on the company. And when everyone's steps are done, documents are generated, signed, and the transfer happens. Another interesting thing we're working on right now, which is kind of some secret sauce of the platform, is we don't believe you should have to wait for years for liquidity to happen. And so the idea of secondary sales and this is first nature for me as an investor, but it's just not the way nonprofits have typically worked. So we're bringing secondary sale capacity to these closely held gifts so that liquidity can come quickly. Instead of waiting a few years, it might come in a few months. So that's on the horizon. We're working on that right now, should be released early next year. But I think this is going to be transformative to allow a donor to give and for you to receive cash for that gift, even ahead of a sale of a company. So really excited about this. Would love to show the software off. We're proud of it. We've been working on it for a couple of years now, and so if you're interested in diving deep, please let me know. In addition to just software, the marketing materials are some of the more valuable pieces. These simple, email templates, one pagers, etc., that you can share with your board, you can share with a donor, you can share with your local community foundation. These have been really important in just helping people become aware of the language and how it works. We do have an API for integrations. So if there's a CRM that you'd want to integrate this with, or a donation software you're already using, that's something we'd love to help you with as well. Overall, because of the software automations, the discounts on the appraisals, and your ability to use your own team instead of an outside team, savings is usually $5,000 to $10,000 with one of these transactions. So you're getting, let's call it $250,000, and you might be spending $5,000 instead of your typical 15 or 20 grand for one of these transactions. So the ROI on $5,000 for 250, we think it's a no-brainer, and we're looking again to bring that to thousands of nonprofits. In addition to the software and all those neat things, we have some really cool partnerships. We are very excited to announce we're working with Pledge 1% now. They have facilitated tens of thousands of pledges over the years, equaling, I think it's just over $3 billion in equity pledges to date. Hundreds of millions have become liquid and gone right to nonprofits, which is awesome. We will, fingers crossed, start processing the Pledge 1% pledges starting in 2026. And we have fully automated the pledge process. So now, instead of helping you just with the gifts, some people are on the edge and not ready to fully commit to transacting yet. They can now pledge through our platform as well. And so they can say, I'm committed to giving something. I'm not sure exactly what that is yet, but I'm going to make a pledge for our time, our profits, equity in our business, et cetera. And I'm going to give that to your ESO someday. If we look at all of the counties across Kentucky, and we take that average donation of $250K and we multiply that across 100 plus counties, this becomes significant. This becomes monumental funding. On the low side, tens of millions of dollars that can go toward entrepreneurial and innovative programming in your regions. So I think that would be amazing. So I want to help each of you do this. We've worked with a couple of your regions today. Would love to make this possible for anyone within the Hub network to accept this sort of gift. I think if I leave with nothing else, it's that your nonprofit and your current team, when using Donate Equity, can facilitate a gift in the next year without special new, without education, without you going and getting a master's in, nonprofit fundraising. Like you would be able to accept this gift, and we want to come alongside you. We want to help you do that in any way that we can. We have offered a discount for the software to anyone. I think Larry's got a discount code that he's maybe shared out, and others we've worked with. I don't want anything to be a barrier. If you've worked with us, you know that like we're willing to bend over backwards to help. So happy to come present, join a breakfast, a lunch. Like if there's anything that would be helpful, please let us know. Um, I know these things are complicated. It's called complex asset giving. I welcome any questions, and I'm happy to walk through example scenarios of what this could look like for a real entrepreneur, if you have one in mind, or a hypothetical example. So, with that, I'll pause and again, would love to help you unlock the potential of these business gifts today. Thanks.
Great. Thank you so much, Landon. I know that Monica Belak with Sprocket has mentioned that she will definitely circle back with you. She's got that posted in the chat. If there's any
Right.
further questions, go ahead and post them. Before we leave you, Landon, can you describe a little bit more? You mentioned it just briefly, a DAF, a donor advised fund. Can you just describe what that is?
Great question. Yeah, I know there's a lot of lingo here. Um, a donor advised fund is think of it as a charitable bank account held at a foundation, and you will transfer an asset into that account. It's technically no longer yours. It is uh, held by that foundation in the account, but you, as the DAF holder, are directing where the money goes. And so a donor, for example, an entrepreneur would set up a DAF, or even you, your organization, could set up a DAF and accept gifts and direct where that money, when it becomes cash, liquid, where that money goes and for what purposes it is used. Most community foundations, there are other faith-based foundations. There are a lot of organizations that will create DAFs. Of course, Fidelity and Schwab and Vanguard and these large institutions will, but even your smaller community foundations
Mhm.
will usually have this capacity.
Yep, yep.
And this is a way of, um, in the context of business donations, it's a way of transferring that back office accounting and responsibility to maybe a larger foundation that's set up to do that
Mhm, mhm.
work. Um, Certainly, if you have a friend of the nonprofit, you're very intimate with the financial situation of the business, the liabilities of the business. If you're able to conduct your own diligence on a business and hold that equity, and you're expecting a very quick liquidity, some sort of event that's imminent,
Yep.
then maybe it makes sense to accept it directly into your nonprofit, um, and seek counsel on that. But most of the time, it happens through a donor advised fund.
Right.
And does that answer your question? Or
Yes, that was very
okay,
helpful. Yeah, thank you
great,
so much.
great. Yeah,
I'm not seeing any further questions in the chat. And certainly we will have Landon's presentation as reference. Again, we'll post that in Slack. We'll send that around in our follow-up email to everyone. But again, to quickly summarize, if you are working with startup clients, who may be interested in this opportunity to give in a charitable way to a nonprofit, which can certainly include various different ESOs if they're structured that way as a nonprofit, or innovation hubs, or even consider those of you that are working with accelerator programs and you have cohorts of startup clients that are showing promise and success, and may be interested in that opportunity to share in their success through a donation of equity. That is something to consider as well, to a nonprofit or to any of you. So we wanted to just bring some awareness, some familiarity to this particular opportunity. And as Landon had mentioned, the benefits, it's an immediate tax benefit for your startups. It avoids capital gains for them. It provides, or it preserves cash, and then obviously it allows the startup to retain control of their business. So something to just create awareness for you. And I want to thank Langdon very much for joining us today and talking to us about this subject. I am going to just share very quickly again. And it is my pleasure as we move over into our Innovation Hub highlight. Today, we have Mackenzie Haynes. She is Partnerships Manager with Awesome Inc. over in the Lexington region. They have a very large region that they serve in the central part of the state. And what I love about Mackenzie is that she has just taken the reins in terms of rural outreach through a very interesting strategy of connecting with and building up university entrepreneurship clubs or e-clubs and working with students and then surrounding community as a means to kind of infiltrate those rural counties and ferret out innovation-led and tech-enabled startups in their entire service area. So I know she's going to give an overall highlight of the work that Awesome Inc. is doing, but I did want to just provide that by way of introduction and the amazing work that Mackenzie's doing. Thanks, Mackenzie, for joining us. And you are welcome to share your screen.
Thanks, Lisa. I appreciate that. That was such a sweet, glowing thing to say. I appreciate it. Glad to be here. Have been on these calls as a viewer for quite a while, so excited to share a little bit about what's going on. And so I'm going to just jump into briefly what's going to kind of help walk us through these. Of course, I'm going to have all the tech issues. All right. So just as a way to quickly pull together what we're going to be talking about today, what I'll be sharing is just this quick view of our pipeline. And so as a reminder, for the work that we do in our ESO and in this central Kentucky region down to South Kentucky, we have a couple of different things that we do, and it's just really helpful to see it all in this pipeline. And so first, I'm going to touch on a couple of these different things because over the fall, we are just hitting all of these different spots really hard. So 5 Across again is one of our big entry points. Another big entry point for us now, like Lisa mentioned, is our e-clubs that we are helping support in our region. So those are kind of our main entry points. And then Awesome Inc. Fellowship, and that's our accelerator program where we mentor and coach companies over the course of a year. We have a lot going on in our tech talent where we are elevating tech talent, connecting tech talent, hosting a number of different events. Our Awesome Fund, during the last presentation, I was like messaging the team like, hey guys, we need to talk about this a little bit more. But Awesome Fund is where we put our money where our mouth is and invest in Kentucky First companies. And then we celebrate those individuals and companies who have kind of hit the pinnacle, celebrating the Hall of Fame. And I'm going to just kind of go back in time since the last time we presented. We had our Venture Summit back in October, and that was a number of different events where we brought in a bunch of investors, not only from the state of Kentucky, but outside of the state of Kentucky, bringing them in here and introducing them to the companies that we work with, companies from across the state of Kentucky, where they were able to make those face-to-face connections. So we had over 16 different investors, we had over 23 different founders, and we made lots of matchmaking throughout the day. And those conversations have continued since that time in October. So we started with bringing everyone in, getting everyone to meet each other, doing some one-on-ones. We had some additional mentor coaching. We had a 5 Across. We had a VIP event. The next day we had Demo Day, and that's what Demo Day is. So Demo Day is when we celebrate those companies who are joining the fellowship, which is the accelerator program, the ones that are halfway through and the ones that are graduating. So I just wanted to send some love out to our recent grads. These 4 companies just ended our fellowship and then are now moving on with that accelerated growth that they've experienced over the last year, moving into their next steps. And what I love about what we're doing is we continue to to stay connected and to make as many different relationships happen. So just last night, Richard, the founder of Syndelos, went over to Kentucky State University to help kick off Global Entrepreneurship Week at K-State by giving a presentation to the students and faculty there. So even though he's graduated, we're not letting him get very far. Same thing with all of our companies that we're just so proud of. These are our companies that have joined us in 2025. So our first four, TimberSync, Hogshead, Revitalized Solutions, and Immersive Hearing Technologies, they all joined us back in April. And so they are halfway through their fellowship program. And so they gave us kind of a really fun kind of sitting on the couches. Let's get honest here. What's been going on in your companies? Where are you growing? What's the struggles? It was a great time to hear from them, and then also to have them kind of giving that heads up like, hey, you all, SoFab, Bestie, Pebble, and Proper Pilots, you're just starting this. Here's us 6 months in. Let us give you some coaching real quick. And that was a great day and great opportunity. So excited to see all of these companies growing and doing some really fun stuff. And then some of them we're going to bring back. You're going to see their names again because they are going to be pitching at 5 Across in December. But before we get there, we had the Kentucky Entrepreneur Hall of Fame last week, I think. Yeah, last week, where we celebrated our newest inductees. And so we were really excited to bring these individuals and their families and their companies in to meet each other, as well as be celebrated for all the amazing things that they've done, not only in their businesses, but in the communities. And one of the things that I got from all of the induction speeches, so everyone who was introducing them, everything that was brought up about them, is that all of these are definitely people who are giving back to their community and doing some really great work to help those small towns and organizations that are surrounding them be successful. And I think that's just one of the best things about what our Kentucky entrepreneurs can do. Another part of what we did, so Lisa mentioned the university partnerships. This year we did something a little bit different at the Hall of Fame. Not only did we have over 100 students coming to the Hall of Fame induction dinner, but the students who have been integral in setting up and leading the entrepreneurship clubs on their campuses were invited for a very personalized, small environment where they got to meet the current Hall of Famers. And so the list is the different colleges that we're working with so far. And I have that little asterisk that we are opening that up in this upcoming year for any other institutions that are interested. We talked to our Hall of Famers, say if you've got a school that you're in relationship with and you want to help see more of those students get face-to-face with entrepreneurial activities, we want to help you all do that. But these are just some pictures from the Hall of Fame individual meetings. So we had about 25 students that were able to come early and have a networking hour with the Hall of Fame inductees. And so it was a great event, great time. I actually had to tell them they had to quit networking and go downstairs because the governor was on the stage and they needed to go. So it was a wonderful time. I think everyone was energized by having those connections. The students asked great questions. The founders were giving amazing advice. So it was a really great opportunity. So with all of that excitement, this is really exciting too. So coming up in just 2 weeks, we are going to be celebrating the 5 Across Finals. This is the 15th year of 5 Across, and we are doing it bigger than ever. That picture that you see here, that is at the Kentucky Theater, which is in downtown Lexington. That room holds over 800 people, and we want every single seat sold. So right now we have over 610-ish, the numbers are coming in right now. Seats have been claimed, which means that we're getting right there at the end. And so what we wanted to do is we wanted to encourage you to come. So everyone who's on this webinar, everyone who's going to be listening to this later and watching this, we have the link here on the screen for you, and we created a special promo code just for the people who are watching this, just for those of you guys who are giving your time and energy and efforts trying to grow yourselves, trying to grow your businesses, trying to grow your regions. Here's a code for you. You can use this code for a free ticket. You can give this to your clients or your business partners, and they can use this as well, because we are so excited, because we're going to have, this event has the champions going head to head. So this night we will be crowning the champion of the champions. And we have contestants from all across the state. So we literally have a contestant from Paducah all the way over to a contestant from Bath County. We've got Louisville, we've got Lexington. And so we're really excited to have all of these different amazing entrepreneurs coming onto this stage to pitch, to share what's going on, and to be crowned champion of Five Across for 2025, the 15th year. So that's a little bit about what's going on here. Thank you for that time. Oh, here are those pictures, so you can see them. So feel free to go ahead and pick your favorite and cheer for them. I don't think we're doing like color t-shirts for anybody, but if you just want to decide like whoever you're supporting, you want to put their face on a t-shirt.
That's some serious competition right there.
Oh, so much, so much. So these are the winners. So as you can see, everybody got crowned for their own month, and now they're going head to head. So
Yeah.
we are excited.
Excellent. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much, Mackenzie. Love the enthusiasm. I do want to just make sure everybody is aware, most of you I'm sure are, but Awesome's programs of the Five Across pitch competition, the Awesome Fellowship, and of course the Entrepreneurial Hall of Fame, those programs are available statewide. So we really appreciate the collaboration and the statewide view that Awesome attributes and incorporates into those specific programs. So any startups statewide across the Commonwealth are certainly eligible for those particular programs. So we certainly appreciate that. I am really excited to attend the Five Across Finals for sure in its 15th year. And as I said, that's some significant competition there, and that's some big bragging rights. So, you know, those finalists take that quite seriously. Emily Worley has gone ahead and placed the Eventbrite registration in the chat, and there's the promo code KYNO. So I do encourage and support anybody who's available and wants to see some amazing pitch capabilities. And of course, the crowning of this year's winner in its 15th anniversary. Please do go ahead and register for that. Thank you so much, Mackenzie.
Yep.
All
Thanks,
right.
Lisa.
And then we're just going to close it out here. Just a rundown of some of the remaining events throughout the rest of the year. Just very quickly, and you can screenshot this. We'll post this in Slack as well. Sprocket has their coffee hour every Wednesday at Sprocket. Create has another startup garden that is coming up. That's actually tomorrow at 4:30 Central Time at Create. And then on Thursday, they've got their innovations and libations. I love that at Create. Amplify is holding their monthly Venture Connectors meeting. That is Wednesday, December 3rd at the Kentucky Science Center. It's a lunch meeting. As we said, Awesome Inc. is holding their Five Across Finals. Also December 3rd at the Kentucky Theater. Let's fill those 800 seats. KYX is another fairly new ESO in the Louisville region, and they are holding their Velocity Gauntlet. This is their accelerator for tech startups focused on commercializing products in the market, but specifically around sales, gaining customer revenue, gaining customers, and bringing in that revenue from their products. Their final program event is Thursday, December 4th at Cinder Block. That's in the Butchertown neighborhood of Louisville. And then they're going to follow that with their Louis Awards for various categories in entrepreneurship, also that day at 5 at Cinder Block. Sprocket has their Market Fit Lab demo day coming up December 4th at Sprocket. I am excited to attend that and see the teams that will be pitching their final presentations. Don't forget that Business First's Kentucky Inno has their nominations open for the 2026 Startups to Watch. This is a nice recognition for the companies that are selected to this particular annual list. The deadline to nominate is Friday, December 5th, and we will join back together, all of us, back here for another Startup Resources Series webinar. That'll be Tuesday, December 16th at 10, again, virtual. So that kind of rounds us out for the majority of our statewide entrepreneurial programs that are happening. There's lots more. Do check your innovation hubs and their event calendars for lots more information, as well as social. Thank you so much for joining us, and everybody stay dry and have a great day. Thank you. Bye.